Marilyn Monroe said they were a girl's best friend. James Bond fans said they're forever. Of course, we're talking about diamonds, the brilliant gemstones renowned for their exceptional cut, color, and clarity. Whether it's for the tip of a saw blade or the centerpiece of a dazzling ring, diamonds with a unique blend of rarity, glamour, and extraordinary hardness have driven humanity to remarkable lengths just to extract them from the earth. But what exactly does it take to bring a diamond from deep underground and put it on your finger? What are the numerous complex processes required to turn just some shiny rock into an iced-out disco ball glittering on your wrist? And what's the dark secret of the sparkling industry lurking just below the surface? A story a billion years in the making. This is everything you need to know about diamond mining. Thank you to longtime friend of the show, Squarespace, for sponsoring today's video. Look, if you need a clean, functional, beautiful website, well, Squarespace is absolutely going to deliver for you like they delivered for me. I made my website on Squarespace. I wouldn't make it anywhere else. It's just ridiculously easy. You start with a template, you customize it, few clicks, swap in a few images, type out a little text, and boom, you're good to go. You don't need to know anything about code, which is a good thing, because I don't know anything about code. Even if you do know stuff about code, you're better off with Squarespace because it's just going to be easier, isn't it? Look, it all starts with Blueprint, Squarespace's AI site builder. You pop in some details about what you do, and it will actually generate a surprisingly polished site layout for you with content suggestions and everything. Look, when I made my website, this is kind of before the whole AI thing came along, and it was still really easy to get a beautiful site, and now it's even easier. It's basically got like a helpful assistant who's not going to ask you a bunch of questions. Plus, they've got things like email campaigns so you can get in touch with your audience. You don't have to bounce between different platforms. It's all automated. It's all on brand. Easy. Plus, they've got analytics, which, you can actually check to find out what people are doing on your website, which is nice. So look, if you've got an idea for a project or a business that you want to get up and running, all you need to do is go to squarespace.com/megaprojects and just sign up. Give it a try. Why not? Use the code MEGAPROJECTS to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain, which is fantastic. And now back to today's episode. So, where do diamonds actually come from? Well, most of us know they're made from carbon. But how does a diamond start its journey before it lands on the finger of your beloved? The life of a diamond begins hundreds of miles beneath the Earth's surface, often up to 1 billion years ago. Down there, buried deep under massive layers of earth and rock, the diamond is subjected to intense pressure, about 45,000 times stronger than what we experience at sea level. Under these extreme conditions, the carbon atoms slowly crystallize into the beautiful clear stones we call diamonds. And this makes sense. Diamonds are known to be the hardest naturally occurring material on Earth, which is necessary to survive such immense pressure over so much time. Deep in the Earth, the temperature is extremely hot. It's molten even. Diamonds are primarily formed within a type of coarse igneous rock called kimberlite, although they can occasionally form in other rock types as well. But how do diamonds reach the Earth's surface? Well, periodically, over hundreds of millions of years, the intense pressure deep underground builds up to such an extent that when tectonic plates begin to shift, molten kimberlite erupts sharply, forcing its way through the Earth's crust at speeds of up to 30 kilometers an hour. These volcanic events eject kimberlite upward, bringing diamonds to the Earth's surface. As the molten kimberlite moves through the Earth's crust, it quickly cools and solidifies, forming geological features called kimberlite pipes. This is, therefore, where diamonds are commonly found. Some are buried close to the surface after eruption, while others remain deeper underground, contained within the ancient kimberlite pipes formed hundreds of millions of years ago. The last diamond-bearing eruption on Earth is believed to have occurred over 100 million years ago. Therefore, if you or someone you know owns any diamonds, and you probably do, they might well be the oldest possessions that you have. However, these eruption events were rather uncommon, which means the diamonds that reach the surface today are relatively rare. Their scarcity, along with their unmatched hardness and natural beauty, is what makes diamonds such an expensive commodity. In fact, all of the gem-quality diamonds ever mined could comfortably fit inside a single London double-decker bus. Diamonds can be found in many parts of the world, yet only a handful of locations produce them in significant quantities. These key regions include Russia, mainly Siberia, Sub-Saharan Africa, Canada, and Australia. In fact, Russia alone mined nearly 42 million carats in 2022. But as previously mentioned, diamonds remain rare, so mining operations can't just pop up anywhere. Before a single shovel touches the soil, mining companies must consult geologists to explore the earth for kimberlites, because wherever there are kimberlites, there are diamonds. They utilize satellites, geophysical techniques, and sampling to gather detailed information about the landscape. Any kimberlites discovered can then be drilled into, allowing them to determine whether those deposits contain economic quantities of diamonds. Essentially, they need to establish if there are enough diamonds in the rock to justify mining operations. This is because mining is extremely costly, requiring substantial investments of energy, labor, and specialized equipment. Beyond simply estimating diamond quantities, analyzing a kimberlite core also helps a mining company determine the quality or grade of diamonds that are likely to be recovered, as well as the estimated cost per ton of ore mined and the expected average value per carat. Together, these crucial factors inform whether the project receives the green light, permitting them to break ground on the new mining site. However, that is only the start of the story, because afterwards, there's the challenging matter of getting the diamonds from the ground to the jeweler's shop. This next stage is an incredibly complex, convoluted, and labor-intensive process involving numerous careful steps. So, how's it done? Generally speaking, there are four main types of diamond mining operations active at any given time on our planet. The first two methods are the most common: pit mining and underground mining. These are sometimes referred to as primary source mining or pipe mining. Since we know diamonds originate in kimberlite pipes, which were pushed up close to the Earth's surface millions of years ago, it follows logically that if you go underground to where the kimberlite is located, you will also find diamonds. Open pit mining is the most common and straightforward mining operation to organize. It involves digging enormous pits that reach dozens of meters into the earth. Typically, the top layers of earth and rock are first removed with specialized equipment, after which explosives are used to blast further. Blasting at the appropriate depth loosens the diamond-bearing rock and ore. At this stage, massive earth-moving machinery, supported by the intense physical labor of individual workers, extracts the ore and loads it onto gigantic 300-ton mining trucks, which transport it directly to the diamond processing plants. Most open-pit diamond mines are located in highly remote areas. While they can be ruthlessly efficient, these mines are also very costly to operate, as the entire workforce must be flown in, housed, and fed throughout the mine's lifespan. Consequently, diamond mine locations must be carefully selected, enabling mining companies to financially sustain the entire operation. The other half of this operation involves underground mining, which is quite similar to pit mining but occurs deeper and completely underground. Sometimes open-pit mines that prove profitable enough eventually evolve into underground mines over time. Miners will create tunnels to reach kimberlite pipes underground. In fact, they typically construct two tunnels, one above the other, separated by a 25-meter gap with vertical shafts or funnels connecting them. The process involves miners extracting the kimberlite pipes from the upper tunnel, allowing the extracted material to fall through the funnels into the lower tunnel, where it is then collected and transported out of the mine for processing. This mining technique, known as block caving, has been effectively used for decades as a mechanized mining method that is both efficient and comparatively safe. Additionally, this approach helps miners gather other valuable materials, such as precious metals, which further boosts profitability. On the downside, underground mining remains expensive and continues to carry significant risks. However, if the location is carefully selected, profitable returns are nearly guaranteed. It requires significant effort, though. Pipe mining, for instance, involves moving approximately 250 tons of earth to obtain a single carat. After all, diamonds are rare. Following pipe mining, the next method is known as alluvial diamond mining, often referred to as secondary mining. This approach does not require miners to access the kimberlite pipes directly. Instead, it focuses on sediment deposits found in riverbeds and along beaches. Over thousands of years, natural forces such as wind, rain, and water currents erode the kimberlite deposits, washing diamonds into rivers and onto beaches, where they commonly settle within gravel layers. Alluvial mining involves extracting and processing this diamond-bearing gravel. This process can be as simple as an individual panning for diamonds with a sluice or bowl, similar to how prospectors historically searched for gold. Conversely, it can scale up into large industrial operations involving the construction of dams to trap water and gravel. These materials can then be extracted and processed using machinery. In some cases, entire rivers may be diverted, exposing dried-up gravel beds where diamonds can then be collected. This type of operation can be particularly profitable if the ideal location is identified. As diamonds are washed downstream by the water, they collide with rocks, causing diamonds with structural flaws to break apart along the way. Consequently, most alluvial diamonds found tend to be comparatively smaller than those obtained through pipe mining, but they are often of higher quality and value. However, finding such an area requires careful selection, and significant preparation must be done beforehand before profits can begin rolling in. The final option is marine diamond mining, a technique that extracts diamonds from the ocean floor using specialized mining ships. Like open pit mining, this method indirectly gathers diamonds and can be divided into two distinct categories. Horizontal marine diamond mining employs a device known as a crawler, a large, tracked piece of equipment attached to a surface vessel. The crawler dredges the seabed and gathers diamonds by pumping sediment through a giant suction pipe up to the surface, where diamonds are isolated and processed. Vertical marine diamond mining is similar, but instead utilizes a large ship-mounted drill which carefully excavates overlapping circular areas on the seafloor. After drilling, the rest of the extraction process remains essentially the same as with horizontal mining. Of course, the main barrier to entry with marine mining is capital investment. Specialized vessels designed specifically for trawling and advanced mining equipment are costly and reserved primarily for companies capable of affording such resources. Sometimes, simply digging a pit on land is just easier. However, for those with the financial capability, marine mining can be highly lucrative, as many areas of the ocean floor remain largely unexplored and untapped. So, once the diamonds have been mined from the ground and arrive at the processing facility, what exactly happens next? How do we move from chunks of ore and piles of gravel to the brilliant, dazzling, beautifully cut diamonds we see in jewelry stores? Well, firstly, the larger rock is crushed by machines into smaller, more manageable pieces. Sometimes a secondary crusher, known as a roll crusher, think of industrial shredders here, is used to reduce the size of the ore and gravel even further. By the end of this crushing process, all of your ore and gravel is roughly the same size. Next, the crushed material goes through a washing process where the diamond ore is scrubbed to remove as much loose excess material as possible. At this stage, anything smaller than 1.5 millimeters in diameter is discarded by a machine resembling a large horizontal rotating drum. It's discarded because extracting diamonds from particles smaller than this would cost more than the amount earned from selling them. However, some companies do separate this smaller material into a fines category for alternative uses. Additional scrubbing processes are also utilized, including log washers, high-pressure washers, and attrition cells. Now, at this point, you're mostly left with pure diamond ore, but along the way, other metals or even other gems might have survived this far in the cleaning process and still need to be separated. To achieve this separation, the diamond-bearing ore is mixed with a water-based solution of iron and silicon powder, known as ferrosilicon. This mixture creates a heavy liquid, and once it's added to the ore, the denser diamonds sink to the bottom, while the less dense materials float to the surface. Next, this mixture is passed through either a cyclone or a sluice equipped with several panels and meshes. This step is quite similar to panning. Heavier materials are retained while lighter materials are washed away. Finally, the diamonds are separated from the remaining heavy material. A relatively low-tech method involves using a greased belt, which exploits the hydrophobic properties of diamonds. Diamonds readily stick to greasy surfaces, while other materials, having absorbed water, simply slide off. Then all we have to do is scrape the diamonds from the belt. However, this method's not perfect, so on a fully automated scale, additional techniques are often employed. Magnets are commonly used to remove metallic particles, while X-ray luminescence and lasers help separate the diamonds from other dense, non-magnetic materials. Sensors detect the flashes of light emitted by diamonds and send a signal to a microprocessor, which triggers a blast of compressed air. This burst of air shoots the diamond off the belt and neatly into a collection box. And if you can follow those simple 18,000 or so steps, you too can have a nice little box of diamonds. Yes, it's just that simple. But actually, that ain't the end of the road. The diamonds collected during this recovery process must then be cleaned in an acid solution, thoroughly washed, weighed, sorted, and carefully packaged into sealed containers for transportation. Diamonds are frequently sorted according to carat weight first, and then each size category is further sorted by quality grades. After all, not all diamonds are created equal. At this stage, gemstone quality diamonds are also separated from industrial grade diamonds. Industrial diamonds are often regarded as something of a byproduct in the diamond mining process. Although less valued, they do have important practical uses. Even the lowest quality diamonds remain diamonds, and as the hardest naturally occurring material on Earth, they can still be utilized in various high abrasion sandpapers and on the tips of drill bits and saw blades. However, the reality remains that industrial diamonds simply do not generate as much revenue as the more visually appealing gem quality ones. Moreover, industrial diamonds are abundant. Indeed, about 80% of mined diamonds are deemed unsuitable for gemstone usage for one reason or another. After the sorting process, gemstone quality diamonds are carefully placed into a box secured by an anti-tamper seal, numbered immediately on site and accompanied by a certificate of origin. From there, the diamonds are viewed and sold through a confidential electronic auction process, usually to licensed diamond traders. The highest bidder wins the parcel of diamonds, and from this point, some diamonds remain in their country of origin to be cut into gemstones. This ensures that the nations producing these diamonds also receive a share of the profits made from their resources. Other diamonds are sold to jewelers and specialist diamond cutters around the globe, where they're shaped, polished, and eventually set into the engagement ring your partner simply has to have. Yet, all that glitters is not gold, or in this case, diamonds. The diamond industry has a dark history and a troubling present, which cannot be separated entirely from the jewelry that we wear daily. However, the industry also carries with it a hopeful future, one that aims to move beyond its challenging past and establish a brighter, more ethical path forward. Throughout history, diamonds have frequently been a vehicle used by colonial empires to exploit other regions of the world. When diamonds were discovered in German Southwest Africa, today known as Namibia, at the turn of the 20th century, this discovery led to tremendous levels of atrocities, violence, and brutality. The horrific treatment of the indigenous Herero people by German colonial forces is only now beginning to be recognized as one of the earliest attempts at genocide. Driven entirely by colonial greed, these actions included the mass plundering of local diamond sources. Similarly, when British companies seized control of Sierra Leone's diamond trade in the 1930s, the wealth generated remained out of reach for the local population for decades. Although instances of such exploitation occurred worldwide, including in India, the African continent experienced much of the worst diamond-related colonial exploitation. Even worse, after these nations gained independence, armed militias began to seize control over local diamond mines. They used the profits from these highly lucrative industries to further finance their violent campaigns and extend their operations. These diamonds are referred to as blood diamonds, and the international community has been striving to eliminate them for over a generation. Remember we mentioned earlier that during the diamond separation process, rough diamonds are placed into sealed containers, numbered and issued certificates? Well, this procedure is carried out in accordance with something called the Kimberley process. This process was adopted in 2000 when diamond-producing states in southern Africa met in Kimberley to discuss ways of stopping the trade in blood diamonds and ensuring that diamond purchasers were not funding violence. This initiative, supported by cooperation from the United Nations, eventually resulted in the Kimberley Process Certification Scheme, or KPCS for short. Introduced officially in 2003, the KPCS lays out requirements for controlling the production and trade of rough diamonds. The scheme ensures that diamonds are certified as conflict-free, preventing any blood diamonds from entering global supply chains. The initiative has been successful. Before the KPCS was implemented, it was estimated that around 4% of the world's diamond supply came from areas experiencing conflict. Today, that figure's dropped significantly to about 0.2%. This is the reason why today, when you purchase a diamond, you receive a certificate informing you exactly where it originated, allowing you to trace your diamond all the way back to the mine where it was first extracted. However, that doesn't mean that everything is suddenly fine. Modern diamond mining operations are expensive, which means that unsavory characters are always looking for ways to cut their production costs so they can profit more. Unfortunately, this often leads to unsanitary and unsafe working conditions, as well as exploitation through indentured servitude and sometimes even child labor. Diamond pits, or any mining operations for that matter, especially in Africa, can be extremely hazardous places. Heavy machinery, minimal safety equipment, poor conditions, and constant risk of cave-ins are all considered just par for the course. Organizations have uncovered situations involving overcrowded workplaces, worker abuse, exhausting hours, and minimal or non-existent pay. Child laborers in diamond mines suffer numerous health issues resulting directly from their poor working conditions, things like eye strain, headaches, malnutrition, and respiratory illnesses. Many of these children have no choice. When you are dirt poor and your family relies on your labor to survive, what other option do you have? In 2018, Human Rights Watch found that diamond mining continues to fuel this suffering, and the uncomfortable truth is that some of the largest diamond companies in the world remain at least complicit. These diamonds might not technically qualify as blood diamonds, but that certainly doesn't mean that the industry is clean. But before you tear off your engagement ring, it's not all bad news. Diamond mining clearly has a long way to go, but these issues are gradually being addressed. The poor conditions found in some mines aren't necessarily widespread, and in several regions, the Kimberley process is effectively ensuring that diamonds can be confidently tracked from pit to pendant. Meanwhile, the diamond trade is helping some former colonial nations lift themselves out of poverty. For instance, Botswana's diamond industry has provided a significant economic boost to the nation. Diamonds represent 71% of the country's export revenue and account for 16% of its GDP. Botswana even holds stakes in several global diamond trading companies, ensuring that profits made from diamonds around the world, many of which the country itself supplies, benefit the nation directly in return. Now, if you're still unconvinced that diamonds can be ethically mined, it could soon be the case that Earth-mined diamonds actually become a thing of the past. Every year, the lab-grown diamond industry continues to grow significantly. Laboratory techniques can replicate the ideal conditions required to produce perfect, dazzling diamonds. Diamonds that are also notably cheaper, costing an average of 60 to 85% less than their mined counterparts. Aside from their origin, these diamonds are completely identical. As demand for lab-grown diamonds continues to increase, traditional diamond mining may become steadily less profitable over time. However, one downside is that lab-grown diamonds may actually be worse for the environment. It is somewhat ironic, but unlike many other mining operations, diamond mining typically has a very low carbon footprint because it doesn't rely on chemical processes. According to the Diamond Producers Association, the emissions produced in manufacturing a polished 1-carat natural diamond are actually lower than those associated with most synthetic diamonds of a similar size. So it seems diamond mining might be headed for a shake-up in the future. Perhaps someday the industry and the incredibly complicated sequence of processes it relies on, hundreds of millions of years in the making, will become just as extinct as the dinosaurs that roamed the Earth when diamonds were first formed. Or perhaps the industry is simply too profitable to ever end, along with all of the suffering that it causes. At the end of the day, diamonds are forever, and considering the enormous effort it requires to extract them from the grounds, perhaps they should be. Thank you for watching.